and welcome to Ask Lois, the Relatable Therapist. Hi, I'm Lois Godot, and thank you so much for joining me today. And for those of you that have been following my videos, you know that I found the video Love and Marriage Huntsville on the OWN network, and I'm so excited about it. This reality show is not just about drama and entertainment, but it's about real life dynamics with people. And so, my previous video, I talked about how divorce, the emotions that you experience in a divorce. And today I'm going to unpack how the people are affected within the divorce. And today, specifically, I'm going to talk about the grandparents. So, before I go any further, I want to do my disclaimer. So, this video is protected by the Fair Use Act of 1976. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright 1976. Allowances is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. So when we're looking at a divorce, the divorcing couple, they usually don't think about anybody else outside of everyone in the house. They may think about the kids, the home, and their finances. But really, when you're divorcing, it's like a ripple effect, and it affects so many people. It may affect the siblings, the parents, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins, the friends. And so that ripple effect gets larger and larger and larger. But a lot of times, the divorcing couple, they don't think about that. And so today I want to talk about this ripple effect and how it affects the parents. And before we go any further, I like this little clip, this little cartoon clip that I saw. And it says, divorce is like riding a roller coaster, except you don't throw up at the end. I like that. Divorce is like a roller coaster, except you don't throw up at the end. Because divorce, it has so many emotions. It's like an up and down, up and down. And you don't know, sometimes it looks like you're just riding it, and all of a sudden you dip with your emotions. And so that's a good example of what divorce is really like. Your emotions are fluctuating, going up and down. Because when a family breaks up, it just doesn't involve just the people in the family. It's a period of adjustment and mourning for everyone, and especially the grandparents. And a lot of times people forget that the grandparents, they are the parents of the couple that's divorcing. They have feelings, they have emotions. And a lot of times they just kind of downplay it because they really don't want to accept that the parents have feelings. And so what I want to do is I want to put up, first of all, this is Martell's mother. His mother's name is Marlene. And watching her in the series, I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it because so many people, they had thoughts about what she said, and they kind of criticized her for saying things like, everything's going to work out. And she would say, like, I'm going to stay in my own lane. But truthfully, she understood, because in the Love and Marriage Huntsville, she said at one point that Martell was like his dad. His dad did the same thing. She understood the side that Melody was on, the side of being hurt. But she also understood that she had to, even though she sympathized with the situation, and she actually did get on her son. She told him how disappointed she was. She told him that, he's the reason that the family's breaking up. And so she did sympathize with him, but she also gave him support. So she understood, because she had been through this before, that she had to remain neutral. By her remaining neutral, it didn't allow tensions to escalate. It didn't allow emotions to escalate. Now, just think for a moment, if she had said everything that was on her mind, because she probably had some thoughts in her mind, especially when they were talking about her son, when they were criticizing her son. She had some thoughts about that, because any mother would have thoughts about you talking about her son. And she did say that at some point. I'm not going to let them just keep beating up on my son. She acknowledged he did wrong. She told him, you were wrong. But she said, I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to be here to support my grandkids. She even said that Melanie would always be her daughter. So I love that she stayed neutral. She tried to stay neutral as much as possible. And as a grandparent, that's one of the things you have to do. You have to stay neutral, because if you start saying things how you feel, if you let people know how angry you are, how upset you are, it could escalate things. Especially if you let the grandkids know, because they're feeding off of the emotions of the adults. And so I love that every time you saw her, now I know this was a show, I didn't see her throughout the whole process, but on the show, she tried to remain neutral. firsthand experience, I know that if grandparents interfere and say things, it can cause more grief, more hostility. It can cause the relationship to be more toxic than it really needs to be. So that's what I like about her, is that she knew how to remain neutral, and she would say it. There was even a time when Marlene and Melody's mother Vanessa was sitting at the table, and Vanessa was trying to, let me show you a picture of Vanessa. And Vanessa, Melody's mother, was saying something about, she had talked to Martell several times, and Martell's mother, Marlene, she said, "Oh, yeah." She didn't even really elaborate on it. And she could tell, and you could tell, like, Vanessa, Melody's mother, probably felt some type of way about the whole situation. But Marlene, she didn't feed into it. She didn't really go into it. She just kept eating and saying, "Oh, yeah, okay." Because she knew that had she said something, it probably would have been a powder keg. It would have blew up. Because you saw throughout the series, because I'm still on um, season 3 and a part of season 4. Every little thing she said, people were on social media just saying stuff. They were commenting on it. And so she was trying to keep things down, trying to keep the lines of communication open. She knew that if she said anything negative about Melody, it probably would close communication. And in season 4, there was something that she said about how she felt. And right away, Melody clamped down and she stopped talking to her. So Marlene, she understood that. And I love that about her. I love how she did that. Now, putting this back up, this is Melody's mother. And again, you can tell that both of the grandparents love their grandkids. And I love that how even Martell and Melody, they wanted to keep that relationship. So many times when couples are divorcing, one of the partners want to get rid of the grandparent. They don't want the grandparent to see the kids. But I love how both of them wanted to keep that open, that the grandparents could be in the kids' life. They wanted to maintain that level of normalcy with the kids. And I love that because that is so important. Now we get to Melody's mother, whose name is Vanessa. And we see even throughout season 3, part of season 2, season 3, how she did have some thoughts about what happened. She even told Martell that she thought this would never happen with her grandkids. She thought her grandkids would be in a two-parent home. And I like that rawness of her. But even when she was talking to him, I love that she was respectful. I love that she was respectful because I know she felt angry, because in different scenes when she would be talking to Melody, she would say things like, "You know what, you have to do what's best for you and the kids. And he has to figure that out." And I think at one time she said about how he's acting. So she did say that. And so, but I love how she wanted to sit down and talk with him. And she let him know how she felt. And that is also very good, to let the person know how you felt instead of just holding it in and just letting it build up. And so she had a conversation with Martell, Vanessa did, Melody's mother, without Melody being present. Had Melody be present, it probably would have escalated, because the first couple of episodes, Melody and Martell, they could hardly be in a room together. Every time they were in a room together, it would be explosive. Every time they were in a room together, they would argue. So I like how Vanessa had that conversation with Martell away from her daughter. And that's wisdom. When you're a grandparent, you have to realize that, yes, your emotions are there too, because again, you are a parent, but also you have to think about, how can I diffuse a situation? How can I make sure that the kids are still in a healthy environment as much as possible, and that I continue to have that relationship with them. So I do love how both of the grandparents, how they would try to continue to support their child, but also remain as neutral as possible. I know a couple times, Vanessa, Melody's mother, she said a few things, but it didn't get out of hand. It didn't blow up. It didn't escalate. Because a lot of times, grandparents, they are like the key factor in either the relationship remaining calm, or it could blow up. Now, in Love, Marriage, and Huntsville, there is another parent, and we're going to talk about her maybe in our next series, that keeps things going, that keeps agitating, and that's Letitia's mother. She keeps things agitated. You can see the stark contrast between Martell's mother and Melody's mother versus Letitia's mother. And so just think, if Letitia and Marceau had a divorce, Just think of what her mother would do. Oh my God. Well, Wanda, I think, yeah, that's her name was Wanda. Wanda would probably keep that thing going. She probably would keep it escalated. There would probably be no peace. Marlene and Vanessa, I think they do an excellent job of supporting their children and also trying to remain neutral and keeping the relationship with the grandkids. So I love that. So if you're watching the show just like me, let me know what you think about it. I mean, I'm just loving it because it is an example of the dynamics that people go through with when they are in a divorce. And so I'm going to also talk about the friends, how the friends are pulled into this, because a lot of times you don't realize how people are pulled into it. In case you missed the first video about Love, Marriage, and Huntsville, when I talked about Martell and Melody, it's right here. Take a peek, and I see you on my next critique of the reality series.